Simplifying rational expressions. The first step is always to factor everything. Factoring helps us to identify what common factors there are in the fraction on the top and bottom, and then we can cancel factors that are the same. Not terms. When you're adding and subtracting, unless you're adding and subtracting the exact same thing on the top and bottom, you can't cross things off. So beware of that. Don't cross off terms, only cross off factors. Factors cancel when they're the same in the numerator and the denominator. We can cross those off. Okay, always look to see if you've got a GCF. Means a common factor. And cancel more factors if you can. And always make sure you fully simplify all of your fractions. Okay, a Math Ninja, I call it Math Ninja, is what I do when I cross off common factors. You may recall the big game Fruit Ninja where you cross off fruit. Math Ninja is where we cross off common factors on the top and bottom of a fraction. Okay, when I simplify, I break things up into its factors. On the top, there's 2 and a couple of x's. On the bottom, 2 times 17 and 1x. Identify what they have in common in Math Ninja. Cross them off. The result is your answer. If there are any other common factors, try to cross them off as well. If not, you're done. Okay, looking for a GCF on the top and the bottom. Looks like everything has x in it. I can factor out a couple of x's on the top, leaving 7x minus 1. And on the bottom, I can factor out a couple of x's, leaving 2x. Math Ninja, the common factors. The result is your answer. It's tempting here to try to cross off the x's, but you can't. Don't cross off the x's here because they're terms, not factors. The 7x is a term. The 1 is a term. Each of these is a term, not a factor. Unless there's a common factor, you can't cross anything off. This is the resulting simplified version of this problem. Don't factor any more or cross off anything else. It's all done. That's it. Okay, looking for what each term has in common. There are 3 terms. What does every term have in common? Think about it for just a moment. Hopefully you said that each term has an x and a y. Let's figure out how many x's and y's they have in common. Looks like each one has a couple of x's and a couple of y's. Not every term has the letter z, and not every term is divisible by 5. We can only take out the common factors. So I take out a couple of x's and a couple of y's out of the top and the bottom. Everything else just stays in the term that it came from. Okay, so on top we have 5x z to the 4th minus 10 y z to the 3rd. And on the bottom, x squared. So we've factored out what they had in common. Each term had a couple of x's, at least, and a couple of y's, at least. That's what we're going to Math Ninja. The result is your answer. Nothing else is common in every term. Not every term has an x, not every term has a y, not every term has a z, and not every term has something divisible by 5. We took out what they had in common, and Math Ninja that. Got rid of it. The result is your answer. Let's try another. Okay, this is factoring like we're more used to. When we're factoring trinomials, quadratic trinomials, look at the last number. What do we multiply to get that? That adds up to the middle. So we're going to factor the top, then we'll factor the bottom, then we'll look for common factors. So what do we multiply to get 18 that adds up to -3? Let's see, 6 and 3. On the bottom, what do we multiply to get 6 that adds up to -7? 6 and 1. Okay, now that it's factored, we can cross off the common factors. Because these are in parentheses, we call them factors, not terms. These are common factors. We cross those off. And what's left is your answer. It's tempting to try to cross off the x's at the end, but you cannot because they are terms, not factors. Don't cross off the x's here at the end. That's your answer. On the numerator, or on top here, we have a GCF of 3x. Both terms are divisible by 3 and x. On the bottom, think about what you times to get 5 that adds up to 4. 5 and 1. The way it's written, there is no common factor here. But in the numerator, you can rearrange the 1 minus x to x minus 1 if you divide out a negative. So I'm taking this x minus 1, or the 1 minus x, changing it to x minus 1 if I pull out a negative. The bottom remains the same. Now I have a common factor, Math Ninja, and there's your result. It's tempting to want to cross off the x's, but they're not common factors, so don't do it. Okay, what do we multiply to get 12? That adds up to -4. Let's see, 6 and 2. On the bottom, this is called difference of squares. What do we multiply to get -4? Adds up to 0. That'd be x plus 2 and x minus 2. We can cross off the common factors. And what's left is our answer. Okay, that is the answer. You can't cross off the x's. You can't divide the 6 and the 2 because they are terms, not factors. Cross off terms, not factors. All right, let me know if you have questions.